Hello, misadventurers. It is Kat Kruger. My pronouns are she, her. This is the second or third time I've tried to restart the stream. I am hoping that my audio issues, yes, have been resolved from restarting my computer. Thank you for letting me know and for being so patient with me. Uh, um, so yeah, I am usually the dungeon master here at D20 Dames, but we are all doing what's called downtime with the Dames, and I have chosen to do a bunch of solo RPGs. I started off with Untitled Moth Game, um, and that was done a few months ago. It was a very short one. I think it was only 3 sessions, in which I played a maiden who was cursed to be a moth and was trying to uh, gather memories and artifacts to sort of defeat the Dark Lord in the area. And now I'm playing a game called Apothecaria. I have a black and white printout here. And this is by Anna Blackwell. And it's called a solo potion making RPG, very aptly named because much of what I do in this game is create potions for villagers in High Rannoch. Um, Pretty much every week there is a new ailment that Maisie, the village witch, needs to cure. And so I started off as a novice village witch. I came into the town. Sorry, I came into the village uh, as a novice to replace the former village witch who mysteriously disappeared. Part of the game is sort of trying to figure out what happened to the former village witch. Um, so finding clues as you sort of explore the area, and um, and there's also a lot of foraging. It is a card-based game, so just a regular deck of playing cards. Um, I draw that for finding an ailment. I draw it for foraging for reagents. Um, and I also draw it for when I'm exploring the area and there are some prompts. I have found this both solo RPGs to be really great from a creative perspective. It starts my week off um, in a way that just sort of jumpstarts creativity, um, and it's been really fun in that regard. Because by day I am also a game designer and writer, and this really just sort of helps start the writing flow. So highly recommend for that at the very least. How I've been playing this game is essentially like Spell Health consults is what I'm calling it, where I role play Maisie and pretend that everyone out there is my patient. And I'll often get chat to help come up with potion names based on what the ailment is and what the ingredients are that I need to forage for. There's a timer often with the ailments. As when I started as a novice, um, the timers weren't too restrictive. So far, I've been able to successfully cure all the ailments that have come through. Um, but I've advanced all the way up to advanced witchdom, which is very exciting because last week one of the goals was to in in sort of searching around the area and speaking to the local druid who I named Theodulf. Uh, there is this sort of Loch Ness type creature in Meltwater Loch, and Maisie and her familiar, um, who's a Kodama named Pinecone, uh, discovered the beast, which is called Bazbata, and it sort of like emerged from the water very dramatically, and it turned out it had this shattered tooth. And since that discovery, Maisie has been looking for foraging for reagents in order to create 10 potions to cure this big beast. One potion obviously would not do because it is a giant, massive, prehistoric looking creature, possibly a dragon. It's not clear. Um, yeah, an aquatic dragon, I guess. And so Maisie advanced to advanced witchdom, foraged and found all the ingredients necessary to make the potion. And so last week, what happened was Maisie went back to the loch in order to find the beast. And in order to do so, what I've been doing is drawing cards to trigger the writing prompts. So last week, what happened? We met a siren who accidentally lured us. She was very apologetic, but it cost us a foraging or time. It cost us a timer point. Um, so we were down an extra point of time because of that. And we also met our friend the giant Aurog, um, who we had encountered a couple weeks ago in the mountain area. And it turns out that Aurog is actually the mountain guardian, and he was down at the loch bathing, and we discovered his his giant helmet and or no sword, I think it was that was on the beach. Had a conversation, and he talked about how he knew the previous village witch, and that is when I named her. I think it was here we go, Dahlia Wolfmoon. And she was a brilliant witch who asked Orog for some mentorship, and she learned about mountain and giant magic. Um, she's also very into tea and a lot of the things that, a lot of the clues that have been dropped. Um, well, for our village witch, the way that I've been writing it, I've been essentially making her really into tea and tasseomancy, which is tea leaf reading, divination through that. So last week we left off, oh, actually, it was 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks ago, we left off on a cliffhanger, and I couldn't stream last week because it was incredibly hot here in Seattle. We had a heat wave, and it was way too hot even when I got up first thing in the morning. So I've left you on a cliffhanger for a very long time. However, we're going to get right into it. And so in my notes here, what I did was I went back and made sure that I did the count right for how much time we have left in Meltwater Loch. For a downtime session, which is like, the witch can do exploration um, anywhere, can only spend up to 13 um, actions, I guess it is, on the timer. Um, and after that, if I did spend more time, I could, but it would affect my reputation and my reputation would go down. So don't want to do that really. However, I do really want to find this beast. So I'm going to run out the timer if I have to. Um, what else? I think I actually made a mistake here because one of the timer counts was I drew a Joker card, and whenever I draw a Joker card, I get to draw a card on the table of clues for, or one of the four tables of clues for what has happened to the village witch. Um, so I started off with a table at the novice level, then I went to intermediate. Now we're at the advanced table, in which Auric revealed, the witch's name and um, what her specialty was. Um, okay, so where we left off on the cliffhanger was a pirate ship encounter, and it was really cool. But we only had a few minutes left, and I didn't want to just like rush it. So I will reread the prompt. As the sun goes down and mist rises from the loch, you see the shape of a ship rising from the water beside you. The ghostly crew spot you and invite you aboard. Every time you get this result, write about your relationship with these undead sailors and the tall tales they tell you. You know, it's funny because I nowhere here does it say it's a pirate ship, and yet I just immediately said it was a pirate ship, and I'm going to stick with it. Um, I think it was because one of the previous prompts was finding a treasure chest, and it looked like it was from a pirate ship. Maybe that was also in my mind. So I've had some time to think about it. I didn't write anything, and for anyone who's joining without having seen any of the previous streams, I will tell you that this is very much like the Wanderleaf campaign for D20 Dames. It is super cozy, um, low stakes, um, and so a lot of this is essentially me writing in my journal. I'm going to bring up my journal here and talking through some of the process of coming up with some of these ideas. And right now, I did think about it, but I didn't write in my journal. Um, so I was thinking that this crew, because they're telling all these tall tales, they're pirates, um, or maybe they just say they're pirates. But I was thinking that they could be like the Robin Hood group of the Loch, and they go around sort of pillaging from the rich and ne'er-do-wells around the area, and then redistributing that wealth. Um, so I think they're going to tell these really wild tales of their adventures around the loch. Um, and, I don't, because they're contained within this loch, I feel like there's not really, you know, there can't be these things happening, but at the same time, maybe there can because um, we've already seen some really strange things happen here. Like we've had the Bada show up, we've had an encounter with a siren, a giant was taking a swim in the loch. Like who knows? It's fantasy world, so maybe there are like these you know um, adversarial bandits and um, very wealthy ne'er-do-wells sort of in the area. I think they've also heard of Heroes Hollow, which is nearby. That is a dungeon that was built under what I called a Thorn Dragon's skeleton, and part of the dungeon is the skeletal remains of the dragon. You enter through the skull, and maybe you can see some ribs underneath, that sort of thing. So I'm going to write in my journal about this. I do need to just double check here. Okay, so the last prompt was finding the wreck first. It was a skeleton huddled over a chest, and we found a book of romantic poems with annotations in it. All right. All right. So here's what I have written. Emerging from the cove around sunset, the mist began to rise over the loch. When a ghostly ship appeared, Pinecone attempted to steer our rowboat the other way when the crew waved us aboard in a friendly manner. And what a crew it was! All skeletons, every last one. They told tales of their voyages across the loch. Even in undeath, they sought to right wrongs, robbing from wealthy tyrants and giving to those in need. Some of the crew were quite taken by the fact that I am the village witch in High Rannoch, as they had many ailments. Next time I would bring some of my reagents to treat their spectral ailments. All right, so that is our encounter with our ghostly pirate crew, uh, who are the Robin Hoods of the sea. You did not miss the ghost pirates. I had so many technical issues, Jane, but finally they are resolved. Um, all right, so that is encounter 6 of 13, and I want to double check because I don't want to get this wrong. All right, so we had one encounter where we gathered slime shells, one with the siren, which reduced my foraging. Where was that? Oh, it didn't actually reduce my time. Okay, so Una the siren, then it was the sword of the giant, then it was um, Orog telling me about Dahlia, then the treasure chest, and then this pirate encounter. Okay, so I'm going to draw another card and see what happens here. Got a 3. It says here, a flock of surprisingly cunning Guldrigs take turns distracting you while the rest of the winged bandits steal your reagents. What is it with these animals? I have a history with the animals at this point. Thankfully, you scare them off before they take everything. Choose one reagent to keep and discard the rest. If you have no reagents, they bother you for fun. Well, I mean, I think this is meant for like when I'm foraging. So I'm gonna say they take the slime shell that I gathered, which is disappointing because now I have to gather more slime shell before getting the Bazbata. So they take the 2 reagents. Um, because I think I've already prepped like the other things, but I haven't prepped the 2 that I just picked up. Oh wait, no, silly me. I had already prepped all the potions for so I don't have any reagents. I already prepped the potions for the Shattered Tooth. Phew. Oh my gosh, that would have been so so frustrating because I've been gathering these ingredients for several sessions now. So nothing really happens in this encounter. I'm gonna say that they take some food or something. All right, I'm gonna write in my journal. All right. Oh my gosh, Jane. It's so annoying. Um, yeah, little animals stealing from your pack. Um, like so I'll bring like a little container or something. All right, so I've written here, heading back to shore, a flock of gold drakes mistook pinecone for easy pickings. We fended them off with our oars, but they took off with our snacks for the walk back. I'll need to keep better watch of them and hopefully not be fooled twice. All right, so that is 8. I hope I can draw our the card that we need to get the um, Basbata. All right, here we go. Oh my gosh, I think we did it. Yes. Okay. So this is a different prompt than the one I got when the Basbata showed up. And the prompt is a little strange because it's assuming that I've either cured it or haven't cured it. So I'm going to read the prompt here. Bata breaches the surface of the loch and lets out an earth-shaking roar, scaring all animals into hiding. That'll show those gold drakes. If you are looking for an animal reagent, lose 1 foraging point. If you have cured its shattered tooth, Bata instead gives you an animal reagent. Okay, of value 8 or less. I think because the whole point of coming here was to cure it, and in the other prompt, it basically just says that you can cure it when it shows up to calm it down. So I am going to I'm going to say that Maisie just does a very frantic spell a health consult with the creature, and just sort of says, I just a moment. I noticed the last time we met, you had a bit of um, a sore tooth there, and I've come back with these potions, and she's just sort of waving them about, and uh, starts to administer the potions to the Basbata, and I think it calms down and lets out a sigh. I don't think it's a speaking creature. Um, so I think it maybe disappears for a moment before, and there's like this quiet as the water still ripples in its wake. And then it slowly rises up again with whatever animal reagent I'm going to choose here. I do want to take a look to see if there's anything special that happens when curing the Basvata, because I know that this opens up another area. Dreamwater Depths is opened up now, which sounds very cool for our next exploration session. I don't see anything else about anything special that happens in the instructions here. So yeah, let's take a look at Meltwater Loch, the reagents pages, and I can pick a reagent that is 8 or less. That is an animal reagent. So there's a golden scale guppy, which is good for any ailments that have the blood tag. Shock fish, which is good for pain, nerves, boils. Shadow shark. Oh, this is an 8. So, and that's for rashes, burns, and pain. Slime shell has been pretty easy for us to get. Smooth croak. I think we've got that before for somebody. Dentist crab. Clearly for teeth, mouth, lungs infection. Dentist crab or shadow shark, I think, are the ones I want to get. I'm going to go with dentist crab because it has a lot of tags that I could use it for. All right, so I'm going to read what a dentist crab is. So I think, you know, the Basbata comes back up and it's got this crab sort of dangling in its mouth. And the ingredient here, the reagent here, it says from the previous witch, she's got this entry that says Lots of fish visit these little crabs to clean out their mouths, gills, and fins. The crab gets to eat whatever it cleans out, and with the antimicrobial gel that exudes from its claws, the fish gets lasting protection. Oh, wouldn't that be handy? All right, so I'm going to add that to my list of resources. One dentist crab. That is teeth, mouth, lungs, infection. Okay. Um, so that is super exciting because that was one of the big things that I wanted to be able to do was cure this beast and unlock a new area. Um, so what can we do here? We could explore more, but I feel like maybe that was the big thing in this area. So I'm going to say, let's see, what time is it? I think I'm going to pause to take a few minute break here, about a 5 minute break. And when I come back, it'll be week oh, is it week 13 already? Hold on. The last patient was week 11. Downtime is week 12. Oh, so we have a summer festival. Wow. I was not expecting that. Okay. Well, no patients this week besides potentially the buzzbada. All right. So I'm going to take a 5 minute break, and when I come back, we're going to do another festival. It's going to be a summer festival, and I'll recap what happened at the last festival because it was actually pretty. Uh, there's a lot that happened at that festival. I got some stuff, and it was fun. All right. I'll be back in about 5 minutes. Okay. Just clearing out the cache. Okay. Let's make sure that the captions are still captioning. Very good. Going to continue chatting. Welcome back, misadventurers. Hello and welcome back. If you're just joining in the second half, I am Cat Cricker and my pronouns are she, her. Um, so rather unexpectedly, we are in the midst of a festival. I think what happens is Maisie comes back from Meltwater Loch on week 12 um, after her downtime, and I think during the course of the next few days, she sees around town that there are decorations coming popping up, and she asks her friend the druid Theodulf um, about it. She inquires, and he tells her that it's the sunrise celebration. So the previous celebration was the flower festival, in which Theodulf actually invited Maisie. Uh, she wasn't sure. She wasn't sure if it was a date, um, but she made it awkward, and I think they're sort of just friends at this point. Um, but she did go to the flower festival dance, in which she was um, crowned queen of flowers and received a flower crown. And the flower crown is something that actually lowers the foraging value of plant reagents by 2, which has been very helpful. Um, Pinecone as a familiar, different types of familiars also give different sorts of benefits. And when I drew Pinecone, Pinecone allows for magic items to be foraged a little bit more easily. What else happened at the flower festival? Oh, we bought little plant markers because we're trying to grow some more reagents in our own gardens outside our cottage, and Pinecone was very eager to get more gardening happening. We have a songberry plot right now, and the songberries allow our reagents to taste sweeter, and that gives us more money for each of our successful potions. It also offsets any poison reagents. Um, oh, and then there was a baking contest in which one of the villagers who, if you're familiar with the D20 Dames first campaign called the Good Fortune campaign, we had uh, Brittany was sort of one of my playable NPC characters, and so she played a bunch of characters, including Sildar Hallwinter, who you might recognize from if you played D&D from the starter game adventure, Lost Mines of Phandelver. Um, so she played Sildar, and yes, I mean, she really gave him an amazing personality because he became Sildad, because he had all these kids and then he was adopting orphans whenever the Dames rescued orphans. It was I don't even know. He started off with one kid and uh, who was adopted, a dwarf, uh, and I think he adopted 2 more kids that were rescued, and then there was another um, like a mage who was reverse aged at one of the Emerald Forest Adventure Con adventures that we did, and we brought that into the canonically into the main story. Anyway, yeah. So long story short, Sildad from that campaign Um, I don't know, there was something I drew, I've been drawing names from a random fantasy name generator, and one of the names that came up was Bildad. And I had to use it and basically have taken inspiration that Bildad is like this former Disney Prince type adventurer who is now settled down, but is, really into things like entering the baking competition. And so Bildad entered the baking competition with Maisie and some others, um, but he was making like a lava cake with actual lava in it and injured somebody. Maisie helped, but he also won somehow. That's the way that the cards were drawn. Uh, Anyway, it was quite the fun little festival because a lot happened in just three prompts. And so again, I've got three prompts for Sunrise Celebration, which is um, which is a celebration that is essentially an excuse to get into the water, and it revolves around fun in the sun. Um, so here we go. First prompt. It says here, the whole village flocks to the loch for the rowboat race, and tensions are high. A new challenger threatens to take the champion's spot. Who are they? Do you take part? If so, draw two cards for yourself, two for the champion and two for the challenger. And the stakes are whoever has the highest single card wins and is given Bata's Ore, which grants 2 foraging points per turn while in Meltwater Loch. Well, that is definitely something that Maisie is interested in. So I am going to say that Maisie enters this rowboat competition, rowboat race, and I think that the new challenger is going to be one of those ghost pirates. Um, and I'm going to name the ghost pirate Finnegan. And of course, Bildad is going to be part of this because it just seems like Bildad is competitive in that way. So it's going to be Bildad, Finnegan, and myself, Maisie, taking part in this rowboat um, race. So two cards for myself, one, two, two for the champion. I'm going to say that's Bildad. Two for the uh, pirate ghost skeleton. All right. So whoever has the highest single card wins. Okay. So my cards are, maybe I'll do Bildad's cards first. Bildad has a 9 and, oh, a king. Bildad's gonna win. What if it's a tie? Oh, the Finnegan has a king and a 3. I think Maisie's out. Maisie got a 9 and a 2. All right, so I'm going to knock out the kings, and that means Bildad wins again. This guy, he wins everything. Well, I guess that's not true because I did get that crown. So I'm going to say that Bildad is like, it's not just his first, like his second year winning. He's like long-standing champion of the rowboat competition. Um, Bata's Ore probably has like his name engraved on it somewhere at this point. All right, so I'm gonna write in my journal about this competition. Mhm. All right. Here we go. Around the village, many banners were being hung up with symbols of the sun. The yellows, oranges, and reds certainly brighten up our little village of High Rannoch. Theodulf informed me it was her sunrise celebration, a festivity that involves fun in the sun and an excuse to get in the water. One of the bigger events was a rowboat race. The champion, Bildad, appeared to be without competition, but as I'd been rowing around Meltwater Loch of late, I threw my hat in the ring. When we arrived at the beach, Finnegan, one of the skeleton crew of the ghost ship, joined in as a third. I was out of my league, and it was a tight race between the champion and skeleton, who was surprisingly nimble. However, Bildad won with so much effort I had to check his vitals after. All right. So did not win that competition, but it was a fun little race between the skeleton and Bildad there. Um, Next prompt is here we go. Traveling druids and some of the farmers wearing fancy cloaks invite you to join them in paying their respects to Ash Mother, High Rannoch's sacred tree. Do you take part, and what does the ritual entail? I think, of course, Maisie is going to take part, especially because her bestie in town is essentially a druid, Theodulf. But what does this ritual entail? I think that part of it is going to be decorating the tree with it's going to be biodegradable things. So probably some flowers and some wreaths that are made out of leaves and um, twigs and fallen branches and that sort of thing. But I also think that it's going to be um, um, sort of caring for this ancient tree by um, putting down um, putting down some fertilizers and other sorts of things. Theodulf is probably in charge of the Druidic circle um, because that was how we met. He had oh, I can't even remember what the ailment was, but it was essentially he was hanging around too many like druid circles, and everything was a circle to him. Um, it was like a was almost like a circle fever or something. But yeah, I think a lot of this is just sort of you know, respecting this um, massive ash tree um, and its place in nature, and you know, it's probably like home to lots of birds and other underground creatures as well, squirrels. There's probably some sort of druid song involved as well, and Maisie will attempt to, um, you know, sing in that way where you're not really saying the words, you're just sort of following the tune because you don't know what the words are. No, anybody? This frequently happens to me. All right, I am going to, oops, write in my journal here. So here I've written, during the festivities, many traveling druids arrived dressed in fine cloaks embroidered with the symbol of a large tree. Theodulf explained they were in high rank to pay their respects to Ash Mother, and I was welcome to join. We spent the afternoon crafting leafy wreaths and fertilizing the grounds before chanting a lovely tune that I only caught half the lyrics of. All right. Um, Now the final prompt here is merchants from the lowlands and even further afield have arrived in town and are selling all manner of strange and wonderful things. Something catches your eye. What is it? Do you buy it? Well, this is interesting. It would have to be something related to the sunrise celebration. I'm just going to take a look at some of the things that I can actually buy with my earnings here. I have been saving up for a Glimmerwood greenhouse for Pinecone, um, and it's a greenhouse that would let me grow forest reagents as naturally as possible, and then I could choose up to 5 reagents with forest as one of their locales and have free access to them. Um, However, if there was something not super expensive, I might try that. Hmm. Maybe it's just going to be something else. Oh, hold on. A broom. A broom allows me to fly to the Cloud Isles, or a coracle allows me to navigate Blastfire Bog. Hmm. Which of these do we want to go to? What just opened up for us, actually? That's it. That's what I need to know. I can't remember now. Was it Blastfire Bog? Or was it... No, it was Deepwater something. Okay, so I'll read what these two locations are. Blastfire Bog, if I get a coracle, I can navigate, and it is a beautiful but treacherous, sorry, old witch voice, a beautiful but treacherous swamp that lurks past the territory of the giant spiders. Blastfire gets its name from the swamp gas, bog dragons, or the goblins who live there, depending on who you ask. For those brave enough, the bog has amazing vistas and some of the most unique flora in High Rannoch. So that's if I get a coracle. And the other one is the Cloud Isles. Cloud Isles. If I get a broom, mystical floating islands that rest atop a sea of clouds, ranging from the size of a kitchen table to housing entire forests. These floating mysteries are the domain of harpies, air sailors, and gods. Peaceful as the land maybe the clouds are fraught with danger. Interesting. I'm gonna say the coracle because I feel like the cloud isles might be a touch too dangerous for Maisie right now. I think she just wants to explore without the danger, or without like excessive danger. All right, so that means first one brings more potential reagents. It does seem that way. It's a good question, actually. I'm gonna take a look at the reagents area just to see what's in the witch's journal here about these areas. So oh, interesting. Okay. So the bog, I think, is part of Heroes Hollow. And then the Isles are part of Moonbreaker Mountain. So this is really only going to affect some foraging, and it's more going to affect the exploration in downtime. So, I guess in that case, I'm just gonna say, I'm actually gonna say it's the broom then, because then we can talk about, what kind of broom does Maisie get? Um, let's see. I think she's, she wears this flower crown, this undying flower crown, because she got it at the festival and it helps her with her plant foraging. So maybe Maisie's broom is sort of like this twisted wood, and then at the broom end, um, it's kind of like floral vines around the twiggy bits. So it's very decorative, I guess, but also very natural looking. I think it makes sense because that's where she also found um, pinecone in the forest. And I feel like there must be a reason why pinecone connected with her as a familiar, because she has more of a natural connection to forest and floral things and leafy things, and rather than like the cragginess of the mountains or the bones of um, Heroes Hollow. So I'm gonna say she goes through the market and she finally sees a broom that really speaks to her, and she picks that up. I think we should name the broom too. I'm gonna write in my journal first and see. All right, here we go. Of the many merchants who brought their wares to the festival from afar, one caught my eye in particular. I'd not thought much of flying, but a lovely broom presented itself. Made of twisted ash and entwined with flowering vines, I was enchanted by it immediately. After walking by it several times, Pinecone tugged at my hem and motioned toward it. It would mean more of a wait to save up for our greenhouse, but my familiar urged me to get the broom. I promised Pinecone more adventure and a proper garden soon. All right. So there we go. We've had quite an adventure in Hyrannock this session. Cured the Basbata, um, and then um, and then participated in the summer festival. I do not think I have enough time to actually cure an ailment or do much of anything else. However, here's what I'm going to say to wrap up this session. So it's week 14. Maisie is back at her cottage. I think maybe she's taking her broom for a spin, um, doing some loop-de-loops above the garden outside, with Pinecone, who is exhilarated, really thrilled to be so high up. And down the path toward the cottage, Maisie sees a skeleton walking down the road, who she recognizes from the pirate ship, and I think that is going to be her next patient. And that is where we're going to leave this session here. I will be streaming next week on Monday. I thought I might not be because it's Memorial Day here in the United States. I'm still getting used to the holidays here. I think it's called Memorial Day. But I will be streaming next week. The rest of the summer is a little bit, my schedule is going to be a little bit off because of childcare and preschool being off certain weeks. But I'm still going to try keeping up with the stream here. I think we're probably like going to be doing Apothecaria for probably the rest of June, I would say, before moving on. I really appreciate everyone who has been joining in chat and following along in Maisie's journey here as a village witch. I've really enjoyed this game a lot. I'm so glad that it was recommended when I was searching for solo RPGs. If you are interested in following along, looking at the journal entries, I post them on Patreon at patreon.com/d20dames. And I usually do it close to when the next stream is going up. I also post the video on demand on YouTube. The YouTube channel, I always forget. I think it's youtube.com/d20dames podcast. Don't quote me on that. If you want to find our links, you can find them at d20dames.com. Yeah, and on Patreon, all our patrons also get access to our Discord, and we chat about things like food and crafting and all sorts of really fun things, book recommendations, that sort of thing. And of course, you can also listen to our podcast, which just it wrapped up recently with our second campaign, which is Wanderleaf, and Waterleaf is very, very much in this vein, except it's with all the dames. There are a lot of laughs, but it's super cozy. It's sort of inspired by Hilda, the comic and Netflix series Monster of the Week, but kind of more low stakes because the characters are all tweens. Anyway, yeah, if you want to find our links, they're at d20 james.com. I am Kat Kruger. Um, and yeah, thank you so much again for joining along. And I will see you next week um, to cure the ailment of a skeleton. All right. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks again. Oh, I should actually say until next time, misadventure awaits.